Good morning. It's a joy to be with you today. And we thank you so much for your encouragement in all that we do. Thank you for your prayers and some cards I received and your expressions of concern for my little injury that I sustained in India. We have a loving congregation here, and we don't always show it perfectly. We need to always let each other know. Sometimes we need to tell someone if we have a need for prayers. But when people learn about it, then this congregation comes forward and shows a lot of concern and love. We want to thank you also for your help in regard to the mission efforts of this congregation. As we get into the presentation this morning, we want to present some thoughts from God's Word. We want to present the financial matters regarding West Freeway missions budget, and then also some India slides. There's no video as such today, but a lot of pictures to look at, and we want to go through them very quickly. I want to thank also the missions committee. They pray and work and evaluate and try to make good decisions in regard to mission efforts, and they are Jay Crossley and Jimmy Crossley, Neva Coiner, C.R. Hamilton, Rick Johnson, Susie Frederick, and me. And also we're adding a new member to the team, Tony Wallace. We've had some difficulty matching our times when he's not going to have to go in on Wednesday night to work, but he's participating with us in other ways, and we hope that we can take into account his schedule and meet and be able to incorporate his ideas along the way too. So we welcome Tony to our team. We want to make this acknowledgement as we begin today that not all that is done in mission efforts in this congregation is done through the missions, West Freeway missions budget. For example, the ladies' Bible class is involved in several efforts that they help, and also you help the campaigners outside the budget. You've helped the 3 campaigners that went in addition to me this year, and you're very, very generous in helping those things. And so we want to express our deep appreciation for you. As we enter into the thoughts today, I want to mention a song that was very dear to my dad and became very dear to me, and that's Far and Near. Far and near the fields are teeming with the waves of ripened grain. Far and near their gold is gleaming o'er the sunny slope and plain. Lord of harvest, send forth reapers. Hear us, Lord, to thee we cry. Send them now the sheaves together, ere the harvest time pass by. I like the fact that it mentions far and near. It's not just in a far distant place somewhere that the souls are in need and will respond, but also nearby. Speaking of nearby, there's a clicker they gave me. There it is. Okay, I thought it was near me somewhere. I'm going to try to move quickly, as we said, through these slides, and do I point it at that thing? I didn't. Which way? Point it back there? Okay. Oh, I have to turn it on first? Oh. Let's try it that way. Okay. Okay, good. CR told me that. I told him he'd have to give me a manual, too, to go with this. It's so complicated. We're blessed with opportunities far and near. In Galatians 6 through 10, we have a statement about sowing and reaping, and notice how that it talks about far and near. Let him who is taught the word share in all good things with him who teaches. Do not be deceived, God is not mocked, for whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption, but he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. I like to think of this as concentric circles to illustrate what's going on here. The bigger circle is all the people in the world that we care about. And as we have opportunity anywhere in the world, we need to help them in their benevolent needs and in their spiritual needs above all else for eternity. But then we bring that circle in. The next inner circle is the household of the faith. We have a very special relationship with those in Christ. We're to love one another in Christ. We're brothers and sisters. We're family. And so we're supposed to do good to each other in the household of faith as a more focused help and concern and love. And then within that, there is a set of people that we need to encourage in special ways, and that's those who teach us. Because, as Timothy is told in 1 Timothy 3:15, that the church is the pillar and support of the truth. Our purpose as a church is to glorify God and show the example of Christ in the world for ultimately the salvation and eternal blessings of the peoples whose lives we touch. We're to be the ones who hold up the truth to the world. And the preachers and teachers do that in very special ways, but all of us are to do that. But sometimes when there are those such as Britt and Chris and others and those who go into mission fields and so forth who are teaching and preaching, we need to give a special concern to supporting that work. And it's similar to a family where we care about our whole world we live in, and we care about the neighbors, kids around us. If they have needs, we need to come to their aid sometimes, but our primary focus is to the need of our family itself, and we have that first responsibility. And so I want to point out that in giving you this presentation this morning about the budget, some of it is for far away, but some of it is for near. We have opportunities right around in our community and our country, and then also in foreign countries. Our 2012 budget, which ends next Sunday, involved help for Brother T. Jollum and various things that we'll list on there, and we'll show them in a minute. And we set the goal of $52,200 as we have that goal this time as well. What was given was $44,461. Now, we were still able to do a good bit because we had a little bit of surplus last year. There were a couple of categories that didn't use all of their funds, and we did cut back on the one-time gifts that we were able to give, and did give, but we were still able to provide some. Brother T. Jollum lives in Tamil Nadu, but he also works in the other state of Andhra Pradesh above that, and his salary is $300 a month, and the work fund is $100 a month. And then there is yours truly. Part of my salary is supplied by the church here, $2,233.33 a month, and I'm not worth it, but the gospel is. India Evangelism, $300 per month, and International Gospel Teacher, $500 per month. I want to call attention to our website, gospelteacher.org, and I'd like for you to pray that we make better and better use of that. I need your help in prayer because we have ideas and we're having a struggle to get them out as we need to. World Bible School, we have a team of people working on that and doing a great job in that, not only foreign places but also some in the USA. $333.33 a month. And then there's In Search of the Lord's Way, Phil Sanders and Mac Lyon, the TV program, and $100 per month is supplied for that. Also then, we did have some funds to provide for special efforts, and we allocated that just about 2 weeks ago based upon what we could see could be accomplished. We set that aside to be done just before the end of our fiscal year, so we won't get into trouble and go into the red. Gospel Chariots has been a great work in Africa for some time that we've been involved with, and we sent $500 for that work. Jim and Donna Smith in the We Care campaigns, we've begun helping them last year or the year before. Great work that they're doing in the lower right-hand corner is a family that they had taught and baptized recently. And then the Nelson family in Kharkov, Ukraine, friends of the Crossley family. They've known them a long time and know quite well their dedication to Christ and souls. And in the right picture is the congregation there. $200 one-time gift to them. And then this year we've added a gift of $350 to Bobby and Rosemary Proctor for their work in Sojourners. They go to many places and they participate in various ways building up local congregations, and that's a wonderful work, and we hope that he'll give us a report about that sometime. And then we've added also this year involvement in the Hispanic work that Willie Alvarenga is leading. We provided $600 to that family, to Willie, for his salary. He's director of the Spanish department at Brown Trail School of Preaching, and we really hope that he can come and speak to us. And there are a lot of Hispanic preachers being trained at the Brown Trail School of Preaching, and this is a great, great need around us. And so we thank you for teaching and helping many souls in the USA and distant lands. The 2013 missions budget, as we said, has been set at the same amount. One reason we didn't ask for a makeup contribution this year, we had the previous year, but this past fall we did not ask, come back to the congregation for a kind of a makeup contribution, because you were already helping 3 campaigners. You were in the process of providing funds for Chris and Jimmy and Rick in their process of getting ready to go to India, and we felt that it was such a wonderful thing you were doing there. We didn't want to add another appeal at that time. And so far and near we have opportunities. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of the faith. Now I want to get on the airplane and you come with us. We rode on British Airways through a cold London and into India, and so often we see little temples and big temples and idols there. This is Brother Jalam and his family that we've been helping for so many years. Brother Jalam is there in the white shirt, and this is their house there in Chennai. This is the Madhurapakram congregation north of Chennai, and we helped them build a building. One of the members donated the land and built his own house behind it. Wonderful, wonderful congregation. And they welcomed the 3 of us with flowers, with, they're not leis, they're garlands. And this was Chris's first opportunity to speak in India, and I thought this would be a great way to start. This would be a great place to start. And we were right about that. This is the congregation there, and Chris is preaching there. Brother Jim Bill McIntyre, no, I'm thinking Jim McGuigan. One time he said, preach it in the most flat-footed fashion. He didn't say barefooted fashion, but anyway, we know what he was talking about. Well, Chris really got into it and did a great job, and then his heart was touched by the kids, and he knew they would be, and they had him. They had him from then on. This is the kind of bed that they often allow us to rest on, and I tell you what, it's wonderful. It's a welcome rest. Then we got on an airplane and went north out of Chennai to Vizag so we could work with Brother Herschel Bearden. However, Brother Herschel Bearden received news from home that Patty, his wife, had a stroke. And then before he was able to get home, she had another stroke. And he lives in Lufkin, Texas. Been a dear co-worker with us for a long, long time. And so we didn't get to see Herschel, but we did go to Vizag and on up to Chhiprapalli to the children's home. This is the coastline, the Bay of Bengal, and the eastern side of India. And then we were picked up at the airport and met with interpreters and drivers and started discussing our plans. And Chris made friends again, a special friend that bonded with, and from then on, they were very, very close. And he'll tell you more about it. I'm just going to give you a hint on some of these things. And we're looking forward to a time when Chris, in the combined Bible classes 2 weeks from today, Lord willing, will be presenting his version of all that I'm talking about today. And you need to be here for that. I hope you'll be here for the combined classes on April 7th. And then we can't get everybody in to give reports, but Rick Johnson is working on the probability of giving a report in June, is it perhaps? Maybe to combined classes. We're not sure exactly when that is, but he's been talking to Britt about when that might be. And we're all in this together. By the way, the scripture that we read a moment ago about sowing to the flesh, sowing to the spirit, we're investing. When we give for the Lord's work and for mission work and for all of the parts of the work here, we're investing. We're investing when we encourage one another. We're investing in Britt's work when we encourage him in his preaching. It's like buying shares in Britt's preaching and his work. And the same with the four of us who went on the campaigns this time. Rick went much earlier and stayed much later, and all of us then, the other three of us went after him. We're all involved and invested in each other's work and each other's success to the glory of God. And so it's a great joy to be co-workers in that. This is some of the traffic that we see. And then finally we get to the church building there in Chiprapali, and the children's home is behind that, and there's another building in addition to that. Now this is the boys' side, and then there's a girls' side as well. Some of the children were greeting us that day, and as soon as Rick Johnson gets involved here, we've got a casualty or something, it looks like. Rick and Chris did some very special things with the kids, and they'll be telling you all about it. That girl's hair and the hat there, that looks mighty familiar from VBS or something. And Rick and Chris went off together at times. We paired up in different ways and went in different directions. Here, Chris is going to a building opening with Brother Solomon Raju. They gave us flowers so many times, sometimes bouquets practically. And this is the only time, I believe, that all four of us were at a place where we could meet with the church. And I don't remember how many of us spoke, but Chris is speaking here, and looks like a brush arbor meeting to me. And the people really enjoyed his message, and there were 4 baptized that day. And there I skip over. This is a congregation that we also we helped build the church building there, and Jimmy is preaching. These are widows and widowers, and we gave small gifts to them. We want to give you the financial details in print later on. We're not trying to do that today. We did help a congregation help the man here, the preacher here, purchase this 3-wheel auto. He had driven one before, and then he went to school of preaching, and he had lost his. It had been very, very old, and so the church paid half of the cost as a down payment, and he's paying out the rest of it as he does his work of supporting himself while he preaches the gospel. Brother Sadgunarao and his family are at Philologus School of Preaching. We've been supporting Brother Sadgunarao for many years, and some brethren from Alaska were there. They run the school, even though we support the director of the school. And I had the honor of speaking to the students, and also Jimmy did, and all of the others did briefly. We're getting ready to leave, but then there are 2 who came for baptism from previous meeting the day before, and there's a baptistry there that they opened up and had it ready. And a man and his wife were baptized that day. And then we have to go. Well, there's a couple of them on the roof we're going to have to get down to go with us there. Here is the town of, I believe this is a large city south of Chiprapali, and we often see cattle in the middle of the road, but this one is almost like a golden calf. It's painted that color. It's not actually gold. But these are the idols. This is what they worship in India very often. And a large city. The other car, not the car that my driver was driving, Kumar, but the other car that Chris and Jimmy were in had a flat, and it was fortunate that we were not too far from a gas station, or they call it a petrol bunk, and you see that team of 4 there repairing the tires. And so we had a little delay in getting to our place. And there's another idol. That's about the size of the image of Sam Houston on I-45, I think it is, down south of here. We went to visit T. Anandarao and his new bride. Anandarao had polio when he was young. He's been a preacher for many years and a good preacher, good singer. He recently got married. We give him one-time gifts. We don't support him, but we give him one-time gifts. And he had been wanting to find a bride for many years, and so he informed us he's married, and she is expecting a child also. So we rejoice with that. And we had the privilege that day, because of a great donation that someone had given, we gave money for land purchase next to the church building, because he's been living in the church building. And he is going to buy that land and build a very simple house. We gave $4,000 for that, and from an individual. So they were just thrilled. It was such an honor. And Chris and Jimmy gave some cash, as well as some of that was in check. This lady on the left is Amalu. She has elephantiasis, which is the enlarging of a leg. It's her left leg, and it's really sad if you've ever seen that disease. I didn't show a picture of it here, but it's a tough problem. It looks like an elephant leg, really. And in addition to that, she just recently lost her son in a drowning accident. He was, I believe, 19 years old. I went to this congregation where we had helped them build a building a long time ago, and this brother, Vadi Chanaya, his wife, does all kinds of illustration things to teach Bible classes, and this is the layout of the temple, the Old Testament temple, and she does a lot of artwork to teach her students, and it's just amazing. She has a model of the temple that she prepared. Just wonderful work, and so we rejoiced to see that. This is the old house that they were living in when we first began to work with them, and the church was meeting on their porch. Jimmy and Chris went to Sri Lanka, and on a separate occasion, Rick Johnson went to Sri Lanka, and there were many baptisms both times. And here they are getting out at the other side and walking across the island now. We used to be able to meet with the church on that side of the island where the boat lands, but the church building was washed away, you may recall, in a flood of the Godavari River. And the land under it and land even farther inland was washed away. This is the church building that has been provided now, and it's a wonderful blessing to them. They had a large attendance there, and here they're being welcomed by Brother Israel, and on the right side is Brother T. Daniel Raju and his mother on the left side. Long time friends of the family. That looks like a dress that Chris is wearing. He's going to have to tell us something more about that. We have to learn what is going on. And they went to the shore, and there were baptisms there. And then another longtime friend of Brother Israel was the father of this young man, but that preacher has died. But this young man has been preaching in 2 congregations, and we had the joy of delivering the news and a check, a news about the fact that they will be getting a building without walls. And so we were able to write a check for $4,250 for a building without walls there. This is the market area outside a temple area. You can buy all kinds of religious memorabilia and some coconuts to sacrifice inside the temple. And so we went inside the temple to see what we would be able to see there, and there are idols all over the place. And some people here are actually worshiping those idols. Idol worship is going on in our world. It's not just an Old Testament thing. It's going on all over the world. And the entrance here to a portion of that area reminds me of the statement by Peter, who says that the devil is like a roaring lion, walking about seeking whom he may devour. This is another idol inside that same temple area. How adorable. How loving these representations. India has, some say, 30,000 gods. Some say 300,000 gods and demigods. It depends on how you classify them. Just an ocean of gods. This is the J.C. Bailey building in Kakanata. We went there to see the work that is being done there, amazing work that we are involved in. We send funds monthly to help that work, but many others do too. It's not a main work of ours by any means, but we supplement it. And Chris and Jimmy then teamed up with Ricky Goodham, the son of Joshua Goodham, and father and son operate this work there. And this is Ricky's mother and Ricky's son Justin. And his behavior there, I think Chris has already influenced him by this time and by this picture. Something's going on there. And this is their office area where they have correspondence course work, and we help some with their publishing work and Bibles. We provided $5,630 this time to help them with the purchase of Bibles. We picked up 200 of them to deliver also. And they have a studio. They have a TV program that Joshua and Ricky are on. And then they went to the sea. I encouraged them to go visit the Bay of Bengal there at Kakanata because it's an amazing place. And more idols. A 10-headed idol. To have a 10-headed idol, it has to be lopsided. Looks like they could have 11 heads. Then you could have an even on each side. Another very large image. And this looks like Kanaka Durga sitting on a tiger about to be run over if she doesn't get out of the traffic there. Another image, and this is a similar image you had seen before. Primarily, it's Hanuman, the monkey god. But he has other ways of manifesting. And then there's, this was Republic Day, which is like our 4th of July. And Chris and Jimmy, with Ricky Goodham's direction, worked with the kids that day and had a great joy there. And then I went over to Palakkal, and this is one of the largest buildings in India, and a good work by Ebenezer as a preacher there. Another congregation in the same town. There's a lady here who obeyed the gospel, and then a little bit later, her daughter decided to obey the gospel as well, and she was so thrilled about that. So she came along with her, and then a young man decided he would obey the gospel at the same time. And then there's a lady that we always see there, and her name is Sanyasama. And she's a blind lady, and we always help her a little bit. And then this lady is Lalitama, and she's a leper. Very difficult existence, losing fingers and toes and other features, facial features and things. She had recently lost the roof of her house, and so we provided funds to repair it. And just not long after I got home, the preacher wrote and showed us pictures of the construction work and getting that roof up. He was just thrilled to be able to do that for our sister in Christ, Lalitama. And this is a congregation that we've been working with a long time. The preacher is Chiranjeevi, and one was baptized that day. And this is his stepmother, Mary, and we provide some funds for her as well, as she's a widow now. And then Brother P. Nagabushnam welcomed all three of us, but really I just went through and visited after Jimmy and Chris had been there and spoken. Large congregation there, and they had saw baptisms there. They went to some other meetings, night meetings and so forth, and some were baptized from those as well. And here's another one of the small congregations with a thatch roof, going out to baptize. And now these children are children at a children's home that Brother Dr. Bushnam runs, and Chris and Jimmy worked with these children as well. I also went to a building opening for a building we had supplied in a previous trip. This is at Karugoramili, and Brother N. Moses is the preacher there. His two sons help with that work. Very fine congregation. And then we saw some monkeys. I had seen herds of animals in the road before ahead of us, cows and goats and sheep and things, but this was a herd of monkeys in the roadway for a while ahead of our vehicle, and then they went off to the side. These are some of the big monkeys, and they can hurt you. They'll go up to a lady and take her food away if she's walking down the street, and they beat pans and make noise, the people do, to try to scare these monkeys off. These are some, Brother B. Dharmaraju, we helped his wife some time ago with the arthritis surgeries, and this congregation hasn't done much to their church building, but it's still serving. They haven't finished it as far as the plastering and painting, but they still use it. 4 were baptized that day. They took a 3-wheeler out to the water and were baptized. We helped a man there who was in need, and then we worked with Brother Israel and Brother Sagunarao. The 3 of us, Jimmy and Chris and I, worked with them, and they don't get to see each other very often. They went to school together, but they live in distant places, and so it's a joy that they get together when we come to India. And that's one of the things we do, is help Indian brothers get together sometime where they would not otherwise. And we taught preachers during part of that time and fed them. We paid for the food on this occasion, and Chris was teaching. And here's a picture that Chris or Jimmy took. You've heard of tree huggers? Well, this is a tree hugging a tree. And it's really a parasite tree growing around another one. And another meeting out in a small thatch-covered congregation. Here, Brother Chris is working with Israel and using a little boy as part of his visual aid there. And some were baptized, looking for some decent water to baptize in, and finally find some. And some more baptisms with Brother I. Israel. And more of the same image, really. That one's very, very evident throughout that area. And Chris is telling this little child something. I just don't know what he's putting in her head at this time, but he had a good time with the kids. Some night baptisms as well. This is a preacher there Brother Israel works with, and we've helped him with some surgeries. This is a building opening, and all 3 of us were at this one. I mean, I say all 3. Rick Johnson was in another place. And we found that there was a man outside who had set up a table full of all kinds of things. It doesn't have all of them out here at this time, but some of them were teaching false teachings. He had just come in and set up a place to sell things because we were having a big event there. And so we had to talk to him about removing some of those things that we let him keep some of those things out there, but things that would teach something false, we wanted it removed. And Jimmy spoke, and it looks like this little girl is following him. He has her attention, perhaps. Oh, maybe not. And then Chris spoke, and I wish you could have heard that lesson. That's a prize. Maybe he'll tell you about that one. And we went to the Grace Tailoring School, and these are the leaders of that school. I wanted to tell you about Shiny. The little girl here is Shiny, and I asked her what her favorite game is. She said chess. Jimmy is speaking to the graduates of the Grace Tailoring School, and I want you to notice among them there are 2 Muslim ladies. One of them graduated, and when it came time to get her diploma, she shook hands with us. She removed her veil. We were so surprised. We just didn't realize that she would feel free to do that. But we're happy to teach Muslims and Hindus and Christians, and some after and during the school do obey the gospel here, and they are taught during that time by P. Mary. And right out on the street is a wagon train. Here are some of the samples of their work, and one of the younger students in the school. And they make these sample books to remind them. They take them home with them and remind them how to do those things. And so we got to look at lots of sample books. And then we go over the information with P. Mary and try to keep records and write a check for some sewing machines while we're there. And we'll try to give details about that. Then the church building is right by P. Mary's house. She donated the land for that. And she's never married. She's a school teacher, teaches science, and she also directs the tailoring school that she and Susie started. And after the preaching there were several baptized. This is Brother P. Daniel, and I think that's his brother's name. Let's see, D. Roberts, D. Roberts. And he has one arm. We help him often. And we went to the congregation here at Goodloe Valero. This was where we were trying to get together for that picture, and I got them switched. There we go. Okay, left both in. And we had some baptisms there, three young people. Here is leaders of a church that came, and we wrote them a check for a church building without walls. Here's one that had already been opened. I went to see it and speak there later. And looks like this young lady really is into the message there, see. We went to Walmart while we were there. Now this looks like a mixture of Walmart and Sam's. This was opened in the city of Edgewater, quite an interesting place to go to. And we visited a church building that was built by some kinfolks, Susie and Sally's aunt and uncle. This is the mosquito trap there. Let's see. The other way. Okay. And this young lady looks like she's wondering what's going on here. And Brother Israel's trying to teach a young lady who did not obey the gospel. One young man did obey the gospel. And we're getting into Chennai, and we go to the literature store there and buy some Bibles. And then we go back up to Nellore and meet Brother I. Naveen Kumar. And there's something I'm not showing you that was wrong in this picture. See, my cuff is not buttoned there. I had just fallen and broken my wrist, broken the bone, the radius bone, and I slipped on some loose gravel on a slope, and so I didn't get to go out to his place, and Jimmy didn't get to go out there. That was one of the main places he wanted to go. But we stayed in Nellore and went to the doctor there, and then met with Brother Naveen Kumar there. Jimmy was a great help to me. I came home earlier than I'd planned because I had Jimmy's help, and I needed to get on home. And then since then, Doctor put pins in here, and it's doing quite well. We went to the school of preaching, a preacher's training school, and taught some lessons on Saturday, and then went into the towns nearby on Sunday and preached. And this is a well that Healing Hands International has supplied, and that's some of our brethren that do that work. We supplied the building some time ago. My broken hand served as an illustration about suffering. We have many causes of suffering, and sometimes it's our own bad choices and goof-ups. But we had a list of Bible study reasons why we suffer, and various reasons. And one of the brothers took this edible ice. It's good to know. And Jimmy was preaching in this congregation, and I noticed that to his right, a rat went by walking on the electrical conduit, but Jimmy didn't see it. And so he just kept preaching. I'm glad we didn't have to deal with his screaming or anything like that. And here's a preacher in his home, and this is a place where Jimmy preached. And they've been working on their church building for a long time but haven't finished. And then we were able to, Lord blessed us with a trip back home, and that's the end of our slides today. So we really appreciate your help in making this possible, and we hope that I hadn't kept you too long, but I wanted to call attention to the cards in the pews. If you'll pass these down, there are some commitment cards. Please look at that and consider what you can give to help us meet the goal 2 weeks from today, and we'll try to supply those cards again as well. And then there are some cans in the back. Please be sure to prepare to bring the cans to the Coins for Christ when those are collected on Sunday, April 17th. Those will go for West Freeway missions, not for India as such, but West Freeway missions. We've taken extra time, and I apologize for being long-winded. I hope that you found it interesting and encouraging. It's just such a joy to go, and I wish you could go with us. Thanks for sending us and praying for us as we go. far and near. We care about near too. If you have a need to respond and be baptized into Christ, or make confession of sins, ask for prayers, we invite you to either come or write something out and give to the elders, or meet with them in the back afterwards. Whatever your need, we want to make this opportunity available to you. Please respond